Still up for grabs, backhanded shot, good for Natalie Barr.
Sometimes the difference between winning and losing can come down to a single decision. For this couple, a single decision changed more than a game.
Well, we met at Queen's University in Belfast originally. I suppose we did know each other because we came from the same small town in Northern Ireland. Very quickly we did sense and feel that, you know, we were meant to be together. And but we talked in terms of sort of plans to go overseas. It was something that we both felt that was right. And the other thing we talked about, which we laugh about now, is we talked about having no children because we felt having children would actually hold us up in what God had planned for us. And it's laughable now when you see the story and the way things did pan out over the years. And certainly, you know, you can look back and we ultimately can laugh at it too.
Say we had originally planned no children, but then we had our first child, David, and he was born, and Rebecca, our second child. And we decided, after David was born, we decided if we could manage it at all, I would stay at home with the kids because we felt that was so vital. But we thought, if I'm home with the children, why not do some fostering at the same time, because I'm going to be home anyway. And I had seen such a need when I was working in social work. Yes, we prayed about it, but we thought, let's just give this a go. Let's push the boat out and see what happens, and we did.
Charlene was born with cystic fibrosis. Abandoned by her parents, her first year of life was spent entirely in a hospital, waiting for a home.
She became our daughter as soon as she came into our home. I think in this we only would have had the courage to have taken her on a short-term placement because of the fear, could we manage? But looking from this point, I don't ever remember from the day she came into our home that in our hearts we didn't want her to be there forever.
They tell us about even the time that they brought her home, and David and me were on either side of her, and she cried the whole way home, and Mum and Dad couldn't understand why. She just cried and cried and cried. She was so bubbly from the first moment they met her. And they switched the light on and immediately she stopped crying, and they realised she had never been outside of hospital. She had never seen darkness or experienced with the incubators, and you know, the nurses were amazing to her, but she never had, you know, a family member to properly hold her and to care for her. Charlene had such, you know, she was an individual and God had amazing plans for her as well. So
little did we know the plans that God was setting in motion when we went down the route of fostering, because it changed our whole life totally, and our children's lives and our lives.
Yep, and even trying starting on the ground.
And is there stuff in it?
Well, I haven't said about that yet.
Right. What do you think, Rebecca?
I was second oldest, so there was David, and then there was myself, and then Charlene and Natalie and the twins. So it was always a mixture of fun, and it was always so busy. The household was there was never a dull moment.
And 5 younger sisters, so I was the firstborn, and it's quite funny growing up actually, because if you were looking at it from the outside, you might have thought it would have been hard, but they were always brilliant, for Charlene included, just doing things like playing football or soccer would be here.
Charlene never wanted special attention or special consideration. She always just chipped in along with us.
Charlene never played the sick role either. You know, she was still doing everything we did, even though she was maybe a wee bit behind us. She tried to do absolutely everything. As we grew older, we started to realise the implications of cystic fibrosis and the effect it had on her.
Charlene has such a positive attitude, and especially with Serena being her younger sisters, and Natalie as well, she didn't like to show us when she wasn't feeling well. So every time you asked her, how are you, she was like, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. And if you're like, no, Charlene, she's like, no, I'm fine. She didn't want any sympathy. She didn't want, especially with us, she wanted to act strong in front of us. And I think especially then, we didn't really, because we were so close to the situation, we didn't really see the deterioration until you took a step back and saw 6 months ago she was here, now she's here, you saw the complete drastic step. And I think a lot of the time I denied Charlene's ill health because I didn't want to think that she would ever not make it.
Just it broke your heart seeing the wee soul and knowing she'd been through so much. And I think from very, very early on, we said to each other, she didn't have anybody in the first year of life, and we want to be there for her at the end of life.
But will that commitment carry the Barr family through the darkness that lies ahead?